So after fishing with Brent, Dale, and Greg the day before, the guys were really eager to catch some bigger trout. I told them we could go into Secret Lake 41 and we might have a crack at one. Dale and Brent were fishing in the canoe. You're watching Brent reel in about a 17-inch brook trout right now. I had Greg in a boat with me. Greg had a nice brook trout on, about 18 inches. He got it right up to the side of the boat and then he ended up losing it. The line snapped off right at the edge. I loaned Greg my rod and reel because he said that he didn't have a rod and reel that was working anymore, and on my reel I had 10-pound test on that day. I told him that the line was just fine because the trout in the lake were really big. But he didn't listen. He ended up tying a 4-pound leader on there just because he knew better than I did, and he had an 18-inch brook trout up beside the boat, the biggest one of his life, and he ended up missing it. So needless to say, Greg was a little bit disappointed when he did miss that big brook trout. And then watching Brent pull up this nice brook trout, it made the hurt even worse. So right now we're about the middle of June, and this is about 9 o'clock in the evening, and we picked up all our brook trout in about 20 feet of water off the edge of real fast drop-offs. And so now I'm going to bring you to Greg's fishing adventure that happened all right before Brent caught this nice brook trout. So at first he's reeling up a fish and he's all excited. He catches a 3-pound sucker fish instead of a 3-pound brook trout, so he wasn't too happy with me. That was the first fish of the day, and so of course spirits ran a little bit lower when he pulled up a big sucker fish instead of a brook trout. About 20 minutes later, off the same spot, basically a beaver hut right along the shoreline, and then a real fast drop off, he starts pulling up another fish. I'm on the camera and he's thinking, oh, it's another sucker fish, no need to worry. I see the stick come up and I thought he just had a stick on, but he actually did have a fish about 2 feet behind the stick. And so he's thinking it's a sucker, so he's not working too hard, and then he finally sees it and sees it's a brook trout. He's messing around looking for the net after he realizes that it's a nice brookie, and then the line snaps on him. And this is the face of a man that's not very happy because he just lost the biggest brook trout of his life, and he fishes for brook trout all the time in Michigan. So you can expect that you might be doing some of these similar gestures if you miss a brook trout that's bigger than any other brookie you've ever hooked into your entire life, and you fished for him quite a bit. But everybody was in good spirits. Brent caught his nice brook trout. Greg had his sucker fish. The sucker went into the garden, and the brook trout went into the frying pan. And there's my boys, and there's me in the back. Another great trip for me with Brent and Greg and Dale.